Hi. So in the previous video we have seen how to create an account and set up the agent and everything. So now we'll start with the project creation. So if you're a first time user, you'll be directly landing onto the all projects page just because that there was no projects created before in this particular account, or as you're a new user. To start creating a new project, you have to click on create new project and we have to fill this particular details. So I'll be giving a project name. So once you give the project name, you could have seen the project key automatically getting generated, and if you see any repetition in the project key, you won't be able to create a project. So if that error occurs, you can change it by adding one or two or like this, and you'll be able to make a difference. And the project type, I am choosing it as a functional, and the project owners, the list will have only the users that are having access to this account. So I'll be making myself as the owner, and I'll be giving a start date and an end date, and this end date is a tentative, and based on the actual end date or the extended end date, you will be able to change it later. And description is an optional one which you will be able to add. And once you click on create, this particular project will be created and you'll be able to see your project in the all projects list. And by clicking on this project name, you will be landing onto something called project dashboard. So project dashboard is nothing but it is a single roof that contains all the information regarding what are all happening in that particular project, like what are all applications being tested, who are all the members, the execution cycles, the roles and permissions, and other stuffs. So as I told, the dashboard consists of three phases: the project details phase, app integration, and settings. So in project details phase, we will be having the applications that are being tested for this particular project, and the applications that are here can only be tested. The other applications that needs to be tested should be added to this project application list, then only it can be tested. The next comes the team members. So who are all we are adding here only will be accessing for the particular project. So to add a user to this project, you can click on add users to project button here. You can select the member. As I have a less numbers, I will be directly selecting it. If there are more users, you can search the user here and you can add them, and you have to give them a role, and once you click on save, that particular person will be, or the user will be added to this as a team member. And cycles, as I told, will be a larger execution cycles having multiple cases. And roles and responsibilities, here you will be able to manage what all permissions you can give for an admin or an user access. So you will be able to click on this permissions and you will be able to do the changes, what are all actions that can be given for an administrator, what all can be given for a user. And if, for example, if you are having a newer role or a permission, so based on organizations, these roles and responsibilities will change. So for that, to add a newer role or responsibility, you can click on this menu and you can go for settings. So in this page, if you go for the projects, this is the place where we will be able to add project roles. As default, you will be having admin and user. You will be able to edit or delete the user, but you won't be able to touch this administrator or do any manipulation or the changes in the administrator. So if based on your organization, there might be a DBA or a tester kind of roles. So for adding those, you can click on this plus, give a name and a description, and you'll be able to add it. And this design is nothing but the complexity and priority for the design. So we have something called test design, where we will be creating the test cases. So for test cases, if you might remember, we will be having something called test complexity and test priority, test case complexity and test case priority for clarity. So for those complexity and priority, you can use the already defined one from the list, or if you have something dedicated in your organization, that can also be created with a description to it. And in defects, we'll be having the same kind of priorities, and those can also be used from the default list, or you can create a new and you can use that as well. So Once the project details is done, next comes the app integration. App integration is nothing but integrating an external app into Tenjin Online for their features. So we have integrations for Jira software for bug logging and bug management, and we have browser stack, device farm, and sauce lab for the cloud device farm automation. And for this setup and for this integrations, we will have a separate detailed view. And for settings, this is the place where we'll be having test design settings, where if we enable this, it will go through a proper workflow of a maker and a checker, or a creator and a approval workflow, where a person who is creating the test cases, then it will go for a review, then that particular person will be approving that test case, and approved test case will only be used for test cycles to execute. So enabling this option is more better. So this is as far as the project creation and project dashboard is considered.